Good morning. How is everybody? Welcome to all my new subscribers. I'm thrilled to have you here. And if you watched my reading last week, which we're still in the middle of, you know how incredibly accurate it was. We predicted, or I should say, God Source predicted a cliff. We certainly got a cliff with the financial markets. And I've got the cards here, kind of going over them. We got a major, I don't even know if they're calling it historic flooding event here in the Midwest. It was really, really bad. I was trying to get home and I was driving up a hill, and it was like driving up a river. The water was just coming down over my my bumper. It was really scary, but there was no lasting damage. We did lose two people passed away here locally. They got swept away in the rains. So yeah, I'd say that was pretty accurate, and that cliff energy feels like it's still going on. Particularly yesterday, I guess there was some sort of, oh right. And so they also said last week to use your discernment and not to be looking for false narratives. And I guess yesterday there was some sort of a false information about the tariffs being suspended here in the United States, and the stock market bounced up. And then when it turned out to have been a rumor that was not true, they fell back down. So that definitely was something that was brought through last week. This idea of stocking up and preparing joyfully. The only thing that hasn't really materialized, and I'm very thankful, was this idea of WAR. I don't know if I can even say that, and the U.S. involvement in that. So hopefully that timeline has dissipated and it's not going to come through. I don't know. We'll see. The energy does feel different. It feels a little less chaotic, a little bit calmer today as I sit down to record this on April the 8th. And so I didn't say, but we're going to be looking at the 11th through the 18th of April for the United States. And since I have new subscribers, I am very pro-democracy, which for me means I'm not entirely thrilled about some of the things going on in our administration right now. But I try not to get too political because that's not the point. I am more of a clairsentient, claircognitive, clairvoyant, intuitive, and I work with my clients to help them heal and move forward. I had some wonderful sessions this week, which really inspired me, and I hope helped the people I worked with. So if you're out there, I'm thinking about you and hope you're doing well. You can book with me. The information's in the description. But yeah, let's get to it. So we're going to look at the United States spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and I am going to pull a financial card too. That's a little bit new, but after the way the markets are going, I know a lot of people are really worried about that. Oops, sorry, hope I didn't just bump ya. So God Source, give us a card for how the United States is going to be doing, how the collective is going to be doing, the whole country, not just the Midwest, the whole country from sea to shining sea, for the week, April the 11th through the 18th. Give us a card for how we're going to be doing spiritually. Gosh. I think I'm going to shuffle again. Don't judge me, all right? So I got the purity card. Let me turn on my autofocus. I got the purity card, which I got last week. Is this really the card you want for spirituality, return to innocence? Yes, it is. They're saying yes. All right, let's see what we get for this. Maybe I won't reshuffle. Return to innocence, purity spiritually. What do you want to say? So what this feels like in the spiritual sense, I think we got this in the physical sense last time, but what this feels like in the spiritual sense is that to calm our systems, purity. So when we talk about our spiritual energetic system, we often talk about it without really being aware of what it means. And so they're prompting me to talk a bit about our spiritual senses, and this makes sense now because I was thinking about how to describe being Clair-Intuitive, and I have I have a few videos on what it means to be Clair-Intuitive and how your Clair senses come through. And in the spiritual sense, being Clair-Intuitive is like, and a good metaphor that they gave me, and they're giving me again, is like your skin. And so we all have skin, but we don't feel our skin all the time. But if you focus on your arm, say for example, you can probably feel your skin on your arm, but you have to have that focus. And so to develop your clairsenses and your spirituality and your sense of trust and belief in God, it means to have that awareness of what is always with you, but which you don't always pay attention to or notice. And for a lot of humans, part of the reason that they don't feel this, or to use the metaphor, they don't feel their skin, is because they're distracted by hurts or traumas or busyness or other things out in the world. And it doesn't mean that the spirituality and the connection with God's source isn't there. It just means that other things are keeping you from feeling and noticing it. So I hope that makes sense. That's what they're trying to impart, or my guides are wanting to impart with this card, that this next week, if we deliberately focus on our spirituality and our relationship with God's source, we can have a feeling of ease and trust that wasn't necessarily as available in this current week and in the past week because of all the turmoil. So this feels like things may be a little bit easier this next week, which, wonderful. Hallelujah. That makes me, I'm surprised by that and delighted. All right, and now I'm going to do the overhead shuffle. So you can see I really do shuffle these cards. I really do. All right, Spirit, what card will help us to understand what we will be experiencing emotionally this next week? All right, I'm even going to do a little bridge for my grandmother. All right, just taking the top card. Oh, good, it's a new one. Spiritual protection, armor of God. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is playing on, I'm getting a ton of chills. For those of you that weren't raised in the, let's see, with a Christian background, come on, there you go. Focus. That's fine. I personally believe God is everywhere, and whatever you call him, her, is your business. But I can tell you that divine love, that divine connection that I've experienced is available to every single human, and probably the animals and the plants and the whole thing, beyond what we can imagine. Anyway, to get back to this, this is a reference to a Bible verse that is to put on the whole armor of God. And I'm going to try to remember it. Something like the feet, shod your feet in the word of truth, which would be like biblical verses. The sword of righteousness. I'm probably getting this wrong. The shield of faith. So it's an intent to prepare for. So in an emotional card, what this means is prepare to have your emotions tested, and just take a moment in the morning to get clear, to get shod in the. Goodness, I'm going to have to look this up. Okay, here it is. So this is a reference to a Bible verse in Ephesians, which is in the New Testament. And they are wanting me to look this up for you because it's a deliberate preparation for your day or for your week. And you don't have to be Christian to take the basic idea on board. It's the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. So, and this is colloquially referred to as the whole armor of God. And it's something that young kids are taught, and it's a call to surround yourself with truth, righteousness, readiness, faith, salvation, and spirit. And so I feel like I'm going long on this, but this very much plays on this idea of having spiritual equanimity is the word they're giving me. Equanimity, I think that means calm. And in your emotional spaces, to deliberately prepare with that connection to God's source, to not be rocked, to not be upset, to remember that we are all connected, that we're all human, that we're all divine, and to prepare deliberately this week for emotional upheaval in your lives. So, all right, that's enough of that one. Mentally. Okay, here I am shuffling again. Just gonna take the one on top. Oh boy. Oh, it's the tree. The tree. If you've watched my other videos, you know that this is the event, an event. There is some event coming. It has been coming. It's been moving through. Holy anger be the change. And this is somebody sitting on a tree that's been chopped down, and they are angry. And when I tuned into this before, it was that the tree was chopped down, and the tree cannot be uncut down. In fact, I think my reading the first time this showed up was literally called "The Tree Cannot Be Uncut Down." So in our mental spaces, we're going to be having a lot of anger, and that's probably why we're being called to prepare this next week. I'm not going to go on about this card. If you've watched my other readings, you know this is a big one. Be the change. Physical. What's going to be coming in our physical spaces, God? What's going to be coming in our physical spaces? Just taking the one on the top. Non-judgment. Reflection and projection. Non-judgment in our physical spaces. Let me show that to you. So this is related to the other cards. All these cards are very much the same story. Um, so what does this mean? So in our physical spaces, and there's a person here. I don't know if you can see them in the corner. It's a little person with their hands over their head in the corner. In our physical spaces, this is urging us this week not to be judgmental, not to judge those that are hurting or those who have made wrong decisions, those who have believed the deception, those who have fallen for the deception, So, wow, this is a really powerful reading. They're all powerful readings, but this one feels like this next week, as much as watching the stock market fall this week was an event that we can point to and say that happened. This next week feels like it's going to be a week of things right in front of our eyes. We're being urged to stay close to God's source, to prepare our emotions so that we're not overreacting and we're steady, that something is going to provoke our righteous anger, and then in our physical spaces that we be non-judgmental. And to me, this card feels like that community, non-judgmental in our community as much as we can. So, okay, and I'm going to pull one more card for our the financial situation, because things are really wild. Okay, God source, help us to understand what's going to happen with our financial situation in the United States, specifically the stock market, the economy. And I'm seeing a path. I'm seeing two paths. So we can either, our leaders, the administration, can either walk back some of the harshness that they've put out with tariffs and things like that, and start to build bridges around the world, maybe build back trust around the world. I don't know how quickly that can happen. Or they're going to stick to their guns and they're going to push for this reset in the world. So to me, it's like two paths, and it feels to me, just Claire, sentiently leaning into that energy, that they're pretty committed to the reset, that they really believe that they can enforce that change, but beyond that there's a deceptiveness there, that it's also for their personal gain and leverage to have all of these economies around the world and the security of the world on a tightrope. They're showing me a tightrope. So there are two paths. God source, if you could give us a little bit of clarity, and this doesn't have to be for the week, just for this next month, because I don't think it's going to resolve in a week. What can we know about the financial situation? I'm just taking it off the top. Oh. Celebrate and express yourself. Song. Wow. Okay. Celebrate? Okay. That feels like they're gonna back down. That they are going to back down and do some pausing. That they're very happy. They are very happy. This is exactly what they wanted. Celebrate yourself. And so if this card is for our leaders and the fact that they are very happy, what does this mean for a normal human person who has a 401k and This does not feel like a big group celebration. This feels like the celebration of a few. So this is a temperance card in terms of the harshness of the rhetoric right now. I do think that it is probably going to back off through this month, which is great. Can't imagine if this went on for 4 years. But yeah, this feels like a card more for the individual and not necessarily the collective. So it's good news. It's good news. They're going to ease up, but they're going to take their big windfalls too. So I'm looking at this as positive, which is great. All right. So now I'm going to turn off the camera and get my my download, my channel download on this reading, and come back and share that with you right away. And if you don't know, I'm Susannah. I'm a Clair-Intuitive, and if you're enjoying this content or any of my videos, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and go on this journey with me. I'm doing these weekly readings forecasting for the United States of America to help us all to remember that we're connected to a higher source, and whatever's happening here, there's a reality beyond that reality. So please share with your friends, and this is the only time I ask you to do that. Like it, comment, let me know what you think, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So I'm calling this channeling, which is based on it is totally a continuation of what the cards brought through. The charge of the Berserker. They gave me that word Berserker, and I looked it up, and it is an Old Norse fighters, warriors who are said to have fought in a trance-like fury. And that trance-like fury feels like it gets at the heart of what the cards had to say, and certainly what the channeling has to say. So let me read this to you. And remember, this is just information about the coming energy so that we can be prepared. And it is not to scare you. We're not, this is for you to really be aware, I think, of the emotional and the triggers, the things that may be coming into our energetics fields this next week, and to just be aware of that. And never hurts to have a little foreknowledge about things. Okay, so the charge of the Berserker. For truly what you said about the armor of God is true. And again, I just want to say, I use the word God, but insert whatever word signifies the divine for you. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And I know it from my realm journeying and my divine moments with God Source, that no word could ever encapsulate that love. And so please don't let me using that word put you off. I hope it doesn't, because it's a good message. For truly what you have said about the armor of God is true for humanity at this time, for it speaks to the deliberate preparation for a coming battle. And we urge you to calmly don your shoes and breastplate, but to also keep control of your emotions. For what good does it do to charge into battle as a berserker in that trance-like fury, right? The armor will do you no good without a plan of attack. And consider your connection with the divine and call on wisdom and discernment as you look at the field. More than metal, more valuable to you than metal in the coming days. Wisdom and discernment will be more valuable to you in the coming days. for all this strife will pass, but the tree that has fallen for overwrought emotion cannot be recalled. And this has been, I guess this tree card has been consistent in my readings since I started, so 4 or 5 weeks now. And that the consequences of something being chopped down or something, overwrought emotions cannot be recalled. Strife will pass, but the tree that has fallen for overwrought emotion cannot be recalled. And so our caution this next week is to prepare in your physical spaces, but also in your emotional spaces, and choose not to judge, and look also for deceptions. Return to equanimity and your resting place. So, so it's a lot. I mean, it uses military words and armor and things like that, so it can feel kind of scary. But really, this doesn't feel like a scary reading or a scary channeling to me. This feels like a word of a big word of caution that, you know, it's all well and good to put on physical armor and charge into battle, but if you're not prepared in your spiritual and your emotional spaces, and you aren't prepared to give mercy and not be judgmental, that those things can't be undone. And so this is a reading with a lot of difficult language in it, but it's at its source a reading about love, emotional stability, really preparing yourself each day, whatever that means for you. For me, I do a grounding chakra prayer, and being aware that all this is going to pass. The reading last week was to look to the other side of the cliff, to focus on that. So let's lift our vibration, let's lift our energies, and that's the reading for this week. If you liked it, again, please like, share, subscribe, give me some comments, let me know what you think. Maybe tell me how to shuffle better. I don't know. I mean, you saw me shuffle. These cards wanted to come out, and that's when you ask God to give you a message and you get the message. It's not for me to say, I wish I got a different message. So there you go. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next time. And thank you so much to my new subscribers again. See you later. Bye-bye.